right. Well, we're not live yet. See where that little red thing is right here, right here? There we go.
There we go.
Hey, Henry McClure live down here in the Glass Houses studio. I have a state school board.
Debbie Potter.
No, but what's your title? Just state school board member?
I'm State Board of Education member for District 10.
Okay, there you go. Debbie Potter.
District 10 is going to be a fair bit of Sedgwick County. Wichita proper is District 8, but Wichita, the greater Wichita area is my area. And then I got Harper and Sumner and Cowley counties and a bit of Butler County.
Now, you meet monthly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you said something interesting.
Okay.
Which I want to start incorporating into some of the administrative state.
Yes. So I was just saying that the administrative state is a term I've heard since I was even young. And somebody recognized this early on in our nation that I think it is in a representative constitutional republic that we have. It's very, very important that representative government. I'm sorry, I haven't had enough coffee, maybe.
Well, I don't have any.
No, it's okay. I maybe too much coffee. But in a representative form of government and rule of law,
representative republic,
we need to be able to know that our committees and our school boards and our boards are functioning representative of the voters.
right?
Not representative of what the administration is telling them. You need to know this, you need to do this, you need to do that. So and there has to be a balance. I mean, obviously, and maybe this is where the balance, maybe we need to be paying those local board members to be more involved, because as it is now, it's pretty much a volunteer position.
Okay, so let me ask you, are there special interests that are telling the administration what to do?
I would not have any personal knowledge of that, but why wouldn't there be?
Right.
I just...
That was my point.
Yeah. I don't know. And even in my experience in my district, I've come across superintendents that made me kind of wonder, and then I've had other superintendents that were amazing. I've gotten feedback from superintendents. One of the other members of the board at the state level, when we voted down that $20,000 of wasteful, it was just, we were in the Doge spirit of things, and we decided, hey, you know what, that $20,000 to advertise the summer meal program is wasted, because we can advertise effectively with what we have.
That the people standing in line.
Right.
Hey, by the way, we'll be serving meals this summer.
Yeah, right. I mean, for giveaways, but this board member was actually told by a superintendent that children were going to go hungry this summer and be starving, and it was his fault. Over a $20,000 advertising thing that we voted down.
So, what you're telling me, did I tell you my name's Henry McClure and I'm at the Glass Houses studio? Did I say that?
You introduced me.
I did. But
I don't know about you.
I didn't want you
Doesn't everybody know you?
No.
This is your show.
You got to start over every time. Seems
Okay.
like.
Well, shall we start over again?
No. So what you're saying is the fact that $20,000 was saved. There was somebody angry because they'd already sold the advertising and had to end with the advertising company.
No, they hadn't.
Oh, so I'm far too paranoid.
Right, no, it was our vote to spend that or not. No, this person, there are people who actually believe, I believe the superintendent really, truly believed, children were going to starve this summer.
Wouldn't it be better to have $20,000 to buy more food?
Well, the food was already being bought. They're already being fed.
Okay.
The summer food program, that never got taken away. It was the advertisement of the summer food program that we said, this seems like a waste of money, because it was radio. It was only radio. And the radio stations were going to give us, I believe, if I remember right, 2 hours for every hour we purchased or whatever. So we were going to buy 20 grand, then they were going to give us 40 grand worth of airtime. But the dirty little secret I found out later from one of my constituents is that they're required by law to donate some airtime for things like this anyway.
No matter what.
No matter what. So they
So
were just,
you should have got the advertising for free.
Well, I mean, if we're really, 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 truly afraid these children are going to starve without this advertising, you would think they would have done it for free anyway, but nobody was going to starve.
See, the way Paranoid Henry looks at things is that somebody's on the take for the advertising, you know,
So they were just
within
going
the administrative state.
And the administrator.
No, Cousin Bob sells the ads down at the radio station, and he needed that 20 grand to make his quota that month.
And I have no idea on that level. None, zero. I just know that we were saying that, hey, if kids in the neighborhood need to know about the summer, food program, there are
So
all
what did
kinds
you
of
spend
online
on the
things.
program?
We didn't.
The actual food?
None. We didn't spend that 20 grand. We
No.
voted it down.
But what did you spend on food?
Oh, I have no idea. I think that's actually a Department of Ag program. They use the schools.
Okay,
But-
as
so
a
they-
home base.
As well, and I think there's some churches that serve. I mean, it's not a bad program necessarily, because there are children. I'm not going to argue the program because I don't have any problem with it necessarily.
Just the advertising of it.
It was just advertising. It was just wasteful advertising, and I'm going to go along. But the fact that we had 5 board members that said, "Yeah, this seems wasteful."
Did it pass?
No, it did not pass.
Okay,
We
good.
saved 20 grand. That is the only thing I think that I know of that we did not pass, that they were pushing to have passed. And I'm telling you what, we got chewed on for 2 months after that by, this presentation or that presentation for not having passed it.
Oh, you
We
mean
got
that
threatened.
public comment?
No, by staff.
Oh,
By staff. And the staff were
the
saying things.
administrative state.
Yes, that's where that comes in. The pressure that somehow, the one that was really over the top was the presentation where we were basically told, you could have lost Title VII funding for the whole state of Kansas. That kind of threat. And I actually read the Title VII funding portion there, and it just said we have to have a plan.
And
It
the
didn't-
plan maybe is not to spend the
The
money.
plan could be Facebook, our school marquees, blah, blah, blah.
Facebook's free.
Facebook is free. The school marquees are already paid for. So on your little ticker tape, you put in there.
Yeah, you
food
drive
truck
by,
order.
hey, look, free lunch.
Right. It's great advertising, and you have to have a plan for it.
Oh, wait
Guess
a minute,
what?
wait a minute. This is common sense.
Yes.
Oh, no, that
And-
doesn't fit in the administrative state.
Well, yeah, why they felt a need to spend that 20 grand, I have no idea, but apparently it was to use the chair's own words when we were told, Title VII, blah, 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 is, I just need to know, did this vote, basically these bad people vote, did this vote cause a compliance issue for the rest of us?
No. Well, you got something else on your mind more than 20 grand and
Yeah.
that
the
vote. What else you got on your
administrative state.
mind tonight,
Well,
today?
okay, so coming
Today.
it all goes back to this administrative state, because I guess, ideologically, unlike you, I don't think I'm as paranoid, maybe, as you are, but that's okay, because I could probably use with a little
Well,
bit more
yeah,
of it.
but I see all this money being stolen every day.
And see, this, not my wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
I'll proclaim it from the mountaintop. I am just not down in the numbers. I have people who are friends, who are on a team for me, who are going to be down in the numbers when I need it. So, and I do need it now, but they're volunteers. They work at their own pace, and so I'm more ideological. And for me, I think we have 10 smart people on our State Board of Education. They're all different. They all
Yes.
have different ideological
Diversity.
backgrounds. Yeah, I know we have
Different
a computer
background.
person, we have a nurse person, we have a historian, we have a business owner. We just
Who's the
across
business
board.
owner?
Danny,
What's he own?
car dealership, I think.
A
or
car
cars,
dealership,
something,
okay.
something. Yeah, cars. I don't know.
He knows
I didn't stop it
consumer
that much.
trends.
I
Yeah,
just know
I
he
got
just has that. Connie's been in the legislature, so she knows a lot of how.
Isn't she the chair?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, Kathy's the chair.
Oh, Connie, yeah, Connie.
Connie, yeah, you know Connie O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good lady. And Michelle just knows, like, history. She's a parent. She's like in the fight.
Yeah.
She's had kids recently in school. So is Melanie.
She wants better education for her kids.
Right. Now, ideologically, Melanie and Michelle will be different, but I mean, it just, everybody has their stuff. Melanie's very, I think, computer. Dennis is nurse history, and he's into farming, and he knows a lot about, like, the pharmacy kind of stuff, or, you know, the drugs in the schools, Narcan, stuff like that. I'm learning about a lot of these things. My history is more, I homeschooled my kids. I did public education as a substitute teacher for 3 years, school bus driver, substitute for 3 years. So I have an eclectic kind of background, parliamentary club or unit for 8, 9,
Robert's
8,
Rules of
7.
Order, baby.
Yeah. So I have that background, you know, and so I'm not all those things that they are, but they're not everything I am. So together we're better, right?
I will admit, I never really knew silence was consent.
Yeah.
I admit that. But silence is really consent when it comes to the way you live your life.
Well, it is on the board too, the unanimous consent. Is there any disagreement here? Not hearing none, it's going to pass.
Yeah.
You know, that unanimous consent of things, and so one of the things.
Well, no, what I'm saying is more like, all those in favor say aye, opposed, nay. You know, since nobody said anything, it passes.
Right.
Silence is consent. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Now I.
Oh, you're just talking about another way they voted. I get it.
Yeah,
All right.
and I know a lot of people are like the abstention. They hate the abstention. I'm sorry. I'm a big proponent of abstention, especially
With a
when-
conflict of interest.
well. I mean, obviously, that would be an abstention, but I'm talking you abstain from voting simply because you don't think you've gotten all the information.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain because I'm not necessarily against.
But you haven't provided enough data to make an educated vote.
I don't feel like I've been provided enough. And then, you know, some people would say, oh, you should come to the meeting all prepared. I'm like, no, that's what this meeting's about. This meeting's about me hearing what you have to say and what that person has to say, and let's have a conversation about this.
You gotta chop it out.
And after the conversation, if I'm not prepared to vote, it's not necessarily a reflection on me not being prepared, because I tell you what, I prepare. I prepare for my meetings, I study, I'm always asking questions. That's not my issue. The issue is I can't talk to all the other 9 members because of open meetings. So I can't,
Well, you can individually,
not 9. I can talk to.
but not at once.
No, not even in a chain. Not even, I can't talk to,
Are you sure about that?
I am positive about that.
I'm gonna
can't-
look that up because I disagree with you. I think that you can talk to 9 people about one thing as long as you're not all in the same room.
You have to check. I don't think you can. I've been trying to study this myself. I'm on a learning curve, but you proved me wrong.
Okay.
That's okay. Can we do that another? Because I
Yes!
want to get
Let's
on
get
to
busy.
this.
We didn't come here to argue.
Because how
Not
many
with me.
people have you got who want to be informed? How many people have you got up there?
I do.
Okay, I don't know how many people you have watching, but it's very important to me, because I've been asking for 2 months now. I brought it up on your show before. I still don't know when and where the State Board of Education voted to change this assessment test.
Okay, so we do have researchers that watch the show,
Okay,
and we've got some researchers that are second to none. So that's what we
Okay,
want to know.
second
So
to
let's
none.
ask the research department.
okay,
We
well,
want to know.
and I've researched it. I'll tell them what to research, because
Do
I
it
can
right
tell
now.
them. So I can tell you that they're going to reference
RW, you watching?
They are going to reference a November 2019 meeting where they say that the State Board of Education voted to change the test. Now, I had already pushed back the month before saying, when did we vote to change the test? So preemptively, I was told, that happened in November of 2019, so we're here to vote on the cut scores. Remember the big brouhaha over the cut scores, right?
No.
Oh, well, we had a big brouhaha.
Keep going.
Anybody follows that. So that being said, I was like, I still don't know where we voted, where the past boards voted, to change the test. So we gave a different test this last spring than any other assessment test. It cannot, they said, well, we can try to work the numbers so you can compare them. And I don't know anybody who's really buying that. So anyway, are you getting cold?
No, I'm just worried about the noise, the
Okay.
ambient noise.
Yeah, I am kind of yelling over that too, probably.
No, I just,
But,
are we good?
yeah. Anyway, the thing is that, so preemptively, I was told in November of 2019 that the vote to change the state assessment test this last year happened.
Now, when you say preemptively, before a meeting, so you wouldn't bring it up?
No, at the meeting,
Oh,
when the vote for the cut scores came up. And so that one, if any of you are researchers, go find where we voted for the cut scores. You can find it on, it was all over the news.
trust me, my research is
Yeah.
find stuff where you never even know. And I love you for it.
You can go to that YouTube and you can see how it was preemptively presented to us, that ship had sailed. This is already, the new test had already been voted on, it was already a foregone conclusion. Now we're just here to vote on the cut scores. Where are we going to place those cut scores on the new test that was already voted on in a past board? Now, when you're in a meeting and you're being told we need to vote on the cut scores, guess what you don't have time to do? Go back and watch the 2019 meeting that they just
Right.
referenced, right? It's that information. I'm going to abstain big time on that. I'm going to be present, not voting on that big time, or vote against it, one or the other, because we just got information in the meeting that has a huge effect on the vote at hand, and no time to absorb that information, okay? So that being said, I can tell you, and you'll hear one of the older members of our board say, well, I was here. I remember that vote. We surely did vote to, I'm pretty sure he said that we surely did vote to change that.
Is he part of the coffee club?
No.
Okay.
Anyway, that being said, I mean, and I might be misquoting, but basically, I'll see if he tries to say that again this meeting. We'll see. But I went back, I watched the meeting, and I was like, I do not hear that they voted to change the test. So then I transcribed the meeting with Otter, and
Otter?
yeah, there's any number of apps, but I just
Okay.
got my app up there, so you guys can use whatever app, you can transcribe, just put your phone underneath the TV while it's playing, transcribe any portion of the meeting you want to transcribe. It's so helpful to have it in writing. And so then I read through that a couple of times, and I was like, I'm still not getting it. I can see where they might say, because they have a portion in the contract for the vendor to be able to change questions on the test, because they have to update the test, right?
Right.
So they have the power to make changes to update the test. But that's totally different than, hey, we just got a whole new test, so much so you have to vote for new cut scores, and it has a different number of questions, it's just a whole new test, right? That's not the same as making a whole new test. So, that being said, I called a couple of the members of the people who were on that board. One of them,
In that hearing?
in this hearing, I called Steve Roberts, and I called Michelle Dombrowski.
Okay.
And Michelle's on the board currently. And of course, they've slept, so they don't really necessarily remember.
They've what?
They've slept since then. They don't necessarily remember
Yeah.
what they voted on in 2019. That was really about funding, okay? They were just
Okay.
funding a vendor. That's all they were doing, and that happens a lot, right? And so as I was trying to, I was listening to it with Michelle, and I went to turn the TV off, and I was slow. And because of that, I had discarded anything that happened after the vote. I hadn't even paid attention to it. But because I was slow, I got to hear the chair's comments to the vote. And you could not have been more clear if, as a chair, she said, okay, so it passed 8-2. And I think Michelle was one of the two that voted against it. She goes, I would like to also add that I think it's advisable in the future to take a look at the assessment system. And are there ways to change some things that, because, you know, we're wanting to educate each child. So are there some ways we can look at assessing that makes more sense for our Kansas children, that fits our vision? I think that's a reasonable thing to look at. So I appreciate, Steve, you bringing that up. Okay, that takes care of consent. We're going to look at board travel now. So what you heard in
The
that,
consent agenda.
it was on the consent agenda and had to be pulled off. Who changes the whole assessment test for the whole state of Kansas on a consent agenda? Nobody. Nobody does that.
Doesn't
That was
seem
never,
fair.
it was never the intent that this vote was changing the whole test. This vote was about paying for the implementation of the test, and they had done it on a year-to-year approval basis, okay? So every year, about that time, November.
But she's saying right there, you didn't vote on it. I
Right.
mean, you can add that up.
You can add that
I know
up.
that's what you were getting at.
Right from what she said.
Yeah.
But not only that, so it was on the consent, so there's a lot of strikes against this being.
Now, is this the 219 meeting that your fellow was referring to?
That they're all referring to, that they're saying this was already voted on in 2019. I'm going to argue it was not.
Okay.
I'm going to argue it was not. One,
Well, I could see
it was on the
that.
consent agenda. It's on the consent agenda. You don't put consequential things
Well,
on the
maybe the
consent agenda.
administrative state does.
No, nobody puts consequential stuff on the consent agenda.
Okay.
The consent agenda, by Robert's Rules definition, is for those things that would not be particularly controversial at all, okay? You're changing the whole assessment test for the whole state of Kansas cannot be defined as not controversial. That's not just, oh, we're just looking for your consent on this. This is no biggie. That's not a no biggie deal. The thing is that they were approving this test on the funding of the implementation of this test on a year-to-year basis. I didn't understand the whole context, even myself, and I didn't get that from Steve or Michelle. But something to do with the federal government was pushing them to do this at the time. And Steve was like, well, let's just not do it and see what they do about it. That was his kind of response to the federal government pushing. And then there was something to do with a footprint. They were trying to reduce a footprint. Okay, so this was their motivation.
Wait, the federal government's footprint on education?
I have no idea. They just referenced this footprint. So these seem to be the players. So they have this external pressure on them that I don't really understand, because that's a 2019 issue, right?
Right.
They have this external pressure. Apparently it was coming from the federal government in order to do something with a footprint, but they needed to go through the RFP process for this vendor, which they had been approving on a year-to-year-to-year basis before that. Now, since they're doing it on RFP process, they're doing it on a 5-year cycle. It's actually 6 years of contract, but I believe it's a 5-year school cycle.
So really what you're saying, so maybe you're answering my question, that the federal government is the entity above the administrative state in Kansas.
I would not interpret it that way. What I think is the administrative state uses whatever laws, powers, whatever, to intimidate the board and tell them they have to do what they want them to do.
So they use the legislature as the...
Or the laws, the statutes. There might be an actual law, but it might be, like we were talking earlier, this law might be a law that's easily waived. When it suits the staff, they'll say, hey, we went and asked for that to be waived, and it was waived, so you don't need to worry about that.
Well,
But
who's
when it
waiving
doesn't-
it? The legislature?
The federal government has the power to waive a number of things,
Okay.
okay? So through the executive process. So actually, and that's a letter your researchers might want to look at, because there was a letter this summer that came down from the Department of Education that said, hey, SEAs, LEAs, those are state education agencies, local education agencies, if you want, and I don't remember which title funding it was, I'm sorry, I think it was SES, ESEA, and might have even been FERPA funding, but I'm not sure. It's in the letter. If you want this certain funding waived, we have the power to waive a lot of it. Okay, not all of it, but a
So,
lot of it.
Why would you be waiving funding? Because you don't have to comply with why you got it?
Exactly, it's not the funding you're waiving. You would get the funding, but the strings attached, they have the power to waive some of those strings attached. The power's in the strings that are attached, correct?
Yeah.
Right? That's how we get schools that are all messed up, because it was all those strings that are attached to the money, they
So
want the
if
money.
you don't take the money, you don't have the strings.
Right, but they're saying, go ahead and take the money, and if you ask us, we'll likely waive the strings. Okay?
Okay.
That letter came down from the from Trump's Department of Education.
Okay, so
This last summer.
have you ever not had the strings waived and then just given the money back?
I have no idea if we've done that, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
I don't know, a lot of times it's already spent. Like, you spend the money and then you ask them to reimburse you. So,
And waive the strings.
well, so we have that power, apparently, according to this letter, right? Then a second letter came down. And I believe, I'm not the lawyer, but I believe that letter said, never mind, we'll just waive the strings. I mean, that we can. Like, you don't even have to ask for it now. And so that's why on last month's, when they asked for things on the agenda, I said, I would really like on our agenda a review of all these letters that have come down from the U.S. Department of Education, and what does that mean to us and our local boards?
Well, wait a minute. Don't you have them, don't you have access to all that?
I, just like you, I mean, it's on the U.S. Department of Education
Okay, but-
website.
Okay, no, there's a lot different of the access you should have in me.
Yeah, no.
Because that's why people want me to be mayor. They want me to be mayor so I don't have to go through all these Cora requests
To get all that, no,
to get the information. I gotta fight to get the
no, I
information.
have to do Cora requests too.
What? As a board member? Now that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's probably what they'll do to me as the mayor. Oh, no, hang on, you gotta make a Cora request.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of my own research, because honestly, I think lots of things are just out there. So Beth does explain in the November 2019 why they have to, why they're pushing this 5-year contract, okay? And she said, I've come to you every spring, and we have the contract with you right, it didn't transcribe, it says right in high school, but I know that's not right. It had, and KU has always handled all of our assessments. So they have also the alternate assessment and the CALPA, the English learner assessment. So with this
So what's
change,
CALPA?
CALPA, it's like Kansas English Language Performance Proficiency. It's a
Okay.
proficiency test. So with this change in policy, we were supposed to have done it a year ago. Unfortunately, because of the great negotiations that we had with Mr. Dennis, he was able to get postponed for a year. So we were able to use KU this year, but they were very, very specific with us that we can no longer contract with KU for our testing unless we go out to bid. Okay, so it's just going out to bid, this RFP process that they're saying they have to do. And somehow
So all
that
this
makes
is
it
coming to a head because of the 5-year term.
5-year contract,
Right now.
Right. So guess
Are you
what? Yeah, because
voting on it
2019,
Right.
yes, we're voting on it either, I think it's on tomorrow's agenda. Yes, it's tomorrow afternoon's agenda that this is coming up again. Here's what I thought was interesting, and I pulled it up on here. So the actual motion,
You need me to hold something. I'll hold
oh heavens no, I'll get lost even more. Okay, I think it's right here. He said that, so Jim McNeese, my predecessor, was actually the one who made the board motion. And the board motion, okay, RFP, okay, I don't know, I don't think we need to amend this, but I need to get in the record what the recommended motion is that's embedded in our consent agenda. Because he had just kind of said, yeah, I'll make a motion that we do that. And now he's trying to be more careful, make sure that the actual language of the motion is correct, right? So I'd like to read that into the record if I could. So we're concise and direct on this. It's moved that the Kansas State Board of Education authorize Commissioner of Education to enter into a contract with the recommended vendor resulting from a bidding process required by the Department of Administration and Purchasing for the purpose of developing, administering, analyzing, and reporting state assessments for the contract, amount not to exceed $36 million for June 30th, 2026.
Wait a minute. To administer the test in the state of Kansas, it costs $36 million.
Costs, I think, $72 million.
What's the $36 million for?
I think that's the state's portion. I think
To
the
do
federal,
what?
to administer the assessment test, to produce it. Well, it's what he said here.
Not just to produce a test. Say it ain't so.
Well, developing, administering, analyzing, and reporting state assessments
Okay,
for those,
So
for
they
that
gotta
contract
get-
period of time.
they gotta give the test.
So I thought that was 6 years. So I'm thinking it's $6 million a year.
No, it's annually,
It's for 5 years, apparently, because
but is it annually? Or that's the contract?
the contract is not to exceed $36 million for the contract period, which goes
So-
through June 30th, 2026. Now, I think that is probably 2020 through 2026, and,
So it's $6 million a year.
right, but 2026 is June, so I think it's through basically the fall of
But
2020.
wait a minute. That's only the state portion.
Yeah, I think. Because I later got correspondence from somebody who was trying to understand this better and asked the question, and they say, so I see that it costs the state 6.2
Okay.
annually, 6.2 million annually, which actually is 5 years, 36 million over 5 years, right? But the answer back was it's actually $12.4 million annually.
Oh, man. Well, that probably has the federal. But let me ask you a question.
Exactly. I think so.
Let me ask you a question. So, like, school's out for summer, right? But the very last day, why don't the teachers just give that test?
Well, it's more than that, because this is, it's required by the federal government. It has to be reported on. It has to have, there's a lot of stuff.
Well, how does the student actually, I mean, you go a special day to take the test, or is it just?
Yeah. Yeah, they have,
But you,
the assessments are kind of a big deal, okay?
but are you seeing what I'm saying?
Well,
Okay, do it at the middle of the school year.
honestly, hey, parents, you can just opt out of it. You don't have to do it.
Well, yeah. Well,
And honestly, I got to take a little practice assessment test. I was not impressed. Because the word problem that we were given, that we had to answer, had no right answer.
well, that's a government for you.
Right, there was no, I mean, it was clearly no right answer. So I'm not going to get
It's
to the
like
whole
a
story.
Supreme Court justice that can't just tell us what a woman is.
Well, and you'll see Michelle kind of beats on this meeting after meeting, and she's been doing this for a lot of years. I'm new. But she's been, and I've been sitting out there though crocheting and listening for a lot of years, right? So since like 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. Michelle has been really harping on, we have no right answers on these tests. So what we're doing is teaching kids what they want them to think is the right answer. That's the indoctrination on steroids to me, right there. So in the example I was given, and
What's
I'm
the
only-
right answer? Give more money to Ukraine?
they didn't even tell us what the right answer was. I never
There
even got
is
my
none.
test score. I never even got my test score. I wasn't allowed to have my test score,
Oh,
my
my.
own test score. I'm not allowed to see the questions that are on this
Or
test.
the answers?
I'm not allowed to see any of the tests.
Or
I'm
how
on the
you're
state
graded?
board. Yeah, none of that. None of that.
Well, wait, when you're
We're your
assessment,
elected representatives. We're required
this
to
sounds
approve
like
the state
a
assessment.
board meeting in Topeka.
Well, we're not allowed to see the questions. So if, let's say there's very indecent questions in there, and I'm not saying there are, but if there were, we wouldn't know it. And we're voting to approve this test. And on top of that, all I can talk to is the little bit that we got a little mini test. One of the questions, so the story ended with the fox was Wiley. Wiley, something like that. And the answers were, the fox was popular in his community, the fox was a leader in his community.
Well, let me ask you about old Wiley here. So, at the end of the day, what is the assessment supposed to tell you?
The assessment's supposed to tell you how well our children are learning, okay? Are they proficient in reading, writing, math, science for 10th grade? So,
Well, whether Wiley's popular or influential,
right.
what does that have to do with anything?
I know. It's so, I have questions that the test is actually effectively measuring anything anyway. It is tied to the
So what you're saying, is
proficiency
this where you're
standards.
coming from? Is this, we ought to save $6 million a year, or $12 million?
Actually, for me, I'm even more simple than that. If we're going to change a test, and the state board has to approve the test, you should freaking make sure that we voted to change the test. I mean, this is pretty basic. I'm not even down in the weeds. I want to be down in the weeds, but I'm telling you, Henry, the board does not even have the discipline to make sure that we're just properly conducting ourselves.
The
To
meetings
have these
appropriately.
conversations.
Oh, my.
Just to even have these conversations. Do I want these conversations? Yes. And that's where I know people might push back and say, oh, we don't need to pay our local board. I'm telling you, the local board members are the bomb. They are where all of this hits the pavement, and they're doing it on a volunteer basis. They don't have the power as volunteers to push back on the administrative state. You don't even have a prayer of them pushing back on the administrative state unless they're at least compensated to show up and be prepared some. Because you can't ask a volunteer to, all of them, 7 of them, I give hours and hours and hours and hours of their time with no compensation to push back on a system that is being paid triple digits to fight them. These superintendents are paid the bucks.
To fight the board.
Some of them fight the board.
The
Some of them are
administrative-
awesome. Some of them, in any group, are you going to find great people and not great people, right? I have come across some really great superintendents. I'm like, they work to keep their boards informed. They work close with their boards. They don't try to tell their boards what they have to do, okay? They might some, but, the board has to find that balance, right? But at the end of the day, when parents are frustrated and they're calling me because they go to their board and say, this is happening to my kid's school, and I don't know how to fix it. And I go to my local board members and they say, well, you have to deal with the principal or the superintendent. No, that is wrong. That is so wrong. I elect you.
Okay, so let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Good.
But this seems like something should have been brought up the day you became a member. It's like, and I'm not being critical of you,
That's okay.
but what I'm getting at is like, the way our city runs is, by the time you're down there giving your public comment, it's already decided.
Oh, yeah.
The ship sailed.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I feel in your passion right now about how the vote will go tomorrow. It's going to get approved, and they'll still spend $12 million.
Oh, it'll be 36 million, but get this. Oh, I read to you that motion. Let me read you the motion that we are voting on tomorrow. I know it's just boring for your.
No, not at all. You know what it is for me? It's actually mind-numbing. So what I have found out, running for county commissioner, running for mayor, it's broken everywhere you turn. This is corruption.
Mhm.
This is like dealing with the mafia. This is like we've got mafia dons running our city and telling the elected officials what to do. Yours is just basically common sense
Well, if we got whacked, and we got whacked hard for voting down 20,000, how hard do you think we're gonna get whacked if we voted down 36 million? Okay, so,
It's amazing you use that word, whacked,
yeah, well, I mean,
as I wear a Charlie
verbal-
Kirk hat.
well, I've got my Charlie Kirk t-shirt for tomorrow. I'm wearing it. Be like Charlie. I bought a t-shirt from Turning Point, USA, and it came red with black lettering, and I just didn't think that looked so good. So I got another one to give. That one to my son and my daughter-in-law. I gave them too. Okay, here's tomorrow's motion. It is moved that the Kansas State Board of Education authorize the Commissioner of Education to enter into a contract with the recommended vendor resulting from the bidding process required by the Department of Administration and Division of Purchasing for the purpose of providing a product linked to English language arts and mathematics scale score on the Kansas State summative assessments and resources for students, parents, and teacher aligned to the scientific measure of a student's reading and mathematics ability with a contract amount not to exceed $1.5 million through June 30, 2031. Okay? Did that language sound similar, familiar?
Yes,
It's pretty much copy-paste. They added some extra things on there, but copy-paste. $1.5 million. Now you think, well, that's a lot less. Yay, maybe we're gaining. No,
annually.
no. That's $1.5 million for that whole contract period through 2031. Now here's the second motion. It is moved that the Kansas State Board of Education authorize the Commissioner of Education to contract with the University of Kansas for the purpose of providing the state assessments to students in accredited schools. The contract will provide development of new items, test administration, score reporting, psychometrics, and some release items annually. This contract is for 3 years from July 1, 2026, and would not exceed $6 million annually.
Okay,
Okay, so now we're at $6 million annually, the same as that. That was actually 6.2. And
plus 5.
plus the 1.5.
Yeah, so that's,
So it's actually it's at 3 years. I actually think that's changed because I could have sworn this was through 2031 a bit ago, but maybe I'm wrong. I might have read that wrong. But anyway, $6 million annually, so that's for 3 years. I have to check that. And then this one is for through June 30, 2021, $1.5 million. So we got 6 times 3, 18, $19.5 million. That's for 3 years of KU basically doing what they were doing for the 6.2 million plus the federal. So this is only the state portion. And the federal pays the other portion, as I understand it. Because I do know from that letter, I thought it was a total of 6.2. It's actually 12.4. So that letter, that one I'm not going to share it. Whoops, there, I lost some paper. Let me
so while you're digging in there,
read this.
what happened to the federal Department of Education getting axed?
I think they're doing as best they can, to be frank. The problem,
Axe it?
yeah. The
You
problem they
think that's a
have,
good idea?
I'm sure, because it gets abused, right?
Yeah, well, and so he just wants more money to come to the state and then let the state abuse it.
Well, okay,
See
you
what I'm
you
saying?
make a fair point, but the reality is that he could slash it and just say, no more federal funding, and then all of these programs that are dependent on that federal funding would suddenly be not funded, and you would have, and we know how Obama punishes people when you close down the government, right? Remember the open scenic routes that he closed down? He actually used resources to close down open air cemeteries, so veterans couldn't go to a cemetery that didn't have any guards anyway. But he put guards on them to keep them out of open air cemeteries. You don't remember all of that?
I
It
didn't
blows my
celebrate
mind.
COVID.
No. This is back Obama, when they had the government shut down, and instead of just shutting down the necessary stuff, he actually shut down open air cemeteries.
That didn't, and so actually you spent more during the shutdown to hire the guards.
To hire guards to shut down what didn't have guards to begin with.
He was a clever little dude, wasn't he?
Yeah, he punished people. He really wanted to hurt veterans that were going to these cemeteries. He wanted to hurt people, because hurt people lash out and say, why are you shutting down the government? Then he could get his way. Right?
I forgot all that.
You forgot all that. I remembered when he shut down a scenic overlook.
Hey, don't look!
Yeah, you can't park on the side
You
of this
can't
highway.
look at that!
We own it, and it's shut down. So, okay.
It's mind-numbing. Government is mind-numbing.
So the question, what is the cost of assessments annually, source and contract length, when last updated? And then they said that the contract for CAP and KELPA is $6.2 million per year, $1.4 million, and I don't know what all these mean, SGF, $3.7 million federal ESEA, and $1.1 million IDEA. So it sounds like that $6.2 million was the federal, okay? The answer was, just to note that $6.2 million is the total annual amount. The narrative just provides additional detail. We just wanted to make sure there was not a misunderstanding that the total amount was $12.4 million. So I'm not, and it's hard reading other people's, communications like this to try to understand this information. But I was provided this information so I could have it, and that's that was the end of that. It didn't really answer everything. I don't have all of that. I might have to ask for that tomorrow. I'm not sure. But 12.4 is what the answer was that they're getting annually for that. And so when I read this second one, and I have to go back because I am really surprised that was only for a 3-year period, because that was going to be one of my amendments to make it shorter. I think that we need to stop making contracts past the
Just
period
do
of
it
our
a year.
board.
Yeah, do it year to year.
Well, even if they want to do it for a 2-year period of time, because this board is in place for 2 years, right?
Yeah, like they do that at council. You can't obligate another council.
Yes, right. It's not appropriate, because then you have situations where they come back and say, oh yeah, the 2019 board voted this. Now, would you say that are we voting in this vote to change the assessment test again by 2031?
You'd have to reread it for
Yeah.
me to understand that.
So are we? Oh,
I
have
just
that
thought you
on
were
my-
extending the payments till 2031 and not to change
Right,
the
right.
test.
So the 2031 motion, let's see if I can find that again. Yeah, right here. The Kansas State Board of Education is issuing the request for proposal to obtain competitive responses from vendors. The contract will be issued for a licensing agreement from July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2031. It's just a licensing agreement.
Yeah, so I don't
Oh,
think-
the vendor will provide a scientific approach. Oh, is this the whole motion? Is that?
well, it's your
Oh, no,
cha-
that's the explanation of the motion. I'm sorry. I was like, why am I reading that? It is moved that the Kansas State Board of Education authorize the Commissioner of Education to enter into a contract with the recommended vendor resulting from the bidding process required by the Department of Administration Division of Purchasing for the purpose of providing a product linked to English language, arts, and mathematics scale score on the Kansas State summative assessments and resources for students, parents, and teacher, aligned with the scientific measure of a student's reading or mathematics ability, with a contract amount not to exceed $1.5 million through June 30, 2031. So it sounds like that they're just saying the Department of Administration is requiring us to do RFPs. But you know what? We were able to divide that out, because this was all one motion in 2019. All of this went into one motion in 2019. Now they broke it into 2. And it looks like they said, well, it's really only this part that we have to put into an RFP. So they've broken out that little part, providing a product linked to English language, arts, and mathematics scale score on the Kansas State summative assessments. So golly,
You know,
everybody
you
does
seem
that.
like an atomic bomb that's really ready to explode. What you've got, it's really, I mean, the passion that you have for this, but it just seems like there's so much at every turn that it,
I think it's actually part of the plan. If you can overwhelm the board
right?
with, this is so complex, right? We're going to make it as complex
Well,
as
that's
we
what these
possibly
guys
can.
do.
Right, and so hard to understand that we need a PhD to understand it. And if we can do that, then they can cause enough chaos and confusion to control.
You'll knock on someone's door, and you start trying to talk about some of the nuances of how Shawnee County government works, and they go, "Look, you just spend too much money. You know, your property taxes are high." You know, they do the exact same thing here.
Yeah, and you've studied this, so you know it, and so you can tend to talk to me maybe about these things, and you sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to me.
Yeah, I know.
And I probably sound like Charlie Brown's teacher.
No, not at
to
all.
you.
I get it.
You get it. It's because that's really good if you get it, because
No, I see it. So it's like I've gone down there to make them look stupid, try to shame them into doing the right thing, but it's impossible.
Yeah, and I think that this one does more with the cut scores.
So the commissioner of education is the one guy that sits next to the chair. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's the
Dr.
head.
Dr. Randy Watson.
Yeah, he's the head
And he's
bureaucrat.
retiring. He's retiring. He announced that last month.
Is that a good thing?
I think it is a good thing. It was interesting for me watching that 2019 video, because he was saying stuff that I was like, the board needs to be able to have this conversation, the board needs to talk about this. I heard him saying those kinds of things, and I wonder if he forgot it along the way. It just became easier just to do it. You know, like with kids, you tell them to go clean their room, and they don't know how to clean the room, or they don't clean it right, or whatever, and so you just go and do it. I feel like over time, he's just gotten to where he just doesn't. And the board becomes an obstacle to getting done what he thinks needs done, or what he's been doing for, 20 years, however many years. I think he's been, probably over 10 years. I think he's been at it for 15 years, something like that. I'm not sure. But he's been at it for a long time. And we come and go. So after Debbie's gone, the commissioner will still be there, that kind of thing. And that's administrative state. They understand what's going on. They know all the details. What they assume is trust. If you just trust us, we're going to lead you right. We're going to tell you what you need to do.
And you can't trust them.
And you can't trust them. And I can tell you exactly I never innately trust any administration.
No, we have some guys in the city of Topeka that's the exact same thing. No, I understand what you're saying, because I get it. Because it's too much common sense. And then the bureaucrat has got to make it complicated, so he's ensured his job and he gets everything he wants.
Well, in the legislature, what I think happens with them is things are broken. Humanity is broken, right? We live in a sinful, fallen world. I come from a Christian point of view, a Christian worldview. Sin is in this world. We're never going to have nirvana, right? There's always going to be something broken.
But these guys, what they don't really realize is they're going to pay for it later. At the day of reckoning. I mean, the taxpayers shouldn't have to wait that long.
But that's just, things are broken. I think legislators can often, and rightfully, say, well, that's broken, let's make a law to fix it. They make a law to fix that, it breaks something else. And the more and then the more laws they make, the more crushing it gets on the people. Because now the people are like, I'm going to fill out this IRS form, but I'm probably breaking a law somewhere because it's so complex. You're not trying to do anything wrong, but it's so hard. They make it that way.
So what I enjoy about you coming on the show, it's inspiration for me just to keep going. Because what the people have got to understand, I'm actually figuring out how to get it better to where I can save the clips, you know, so I can bring up stuff like you've done, but I'm organizing all of my media between Facebook, my blogs, X, YouTube, all the videos. I'm only getting better at it, and I'm only going to start reporting more as mayor.
And that's the beauty of the nation we're in now, compared to the nation that we raised our kids in. So I, as a parent, I'm trying to push back on the system. I ended up homeschooling a lot because I didn't like things I saw. But my only real answer was to just pull out of it.
And I got to tell you, as a single parent, I needed school
Right.
to have time to go out and make a living.
Right, and a lot of people are in that boat, and that's why I've talked to you about this. Michelle and I've had three beautiful years that I was just sitting out in the audience crocheting. She never let me come to town without going to lunch with me. That woman always went to lunch with me, and then we would talk about how to solve the problems of the world together, right? And we agree on most everything. But school choice. I am like, school choice, yay! And she's like, school choice is just the way the government's going to come in and destroy the private sector. And it took her 3 years of beating that into my head. And I'm going to tell you guys, she's not wrong. She has some very brilliant points, okay? So we have to be very careful. We're marching towards school choice. That's going to happen. But you'll hear me when I'm talking about school choice now, very definitely saying I am for public school choice. Because, as Michelle would say it, we already have school choice. You don't like your kid in the public school, you can put them in a private school, you can take them homeschool.
So tell me about public school choice.
So public school choice is the acknowledgement that I am taking your money and sending my kid to school on your dime, okay? So do you want some accountability for the education that child's getting? Some accountability.
So you're saying, so we got choice today, privately funded.
Well, there is that
But
private
you want to
fund
be
that
able to
nobody
take the
uses.
public funds and get a voucher and go to your private school.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure now because of the conversations with Michelle, how I think that would best be. I think for me, and I'm not going to die on this hill, okay? But for me, I think as I have vetted it out in my mind, I think that it has to go through that local school board, whether it's a private school that the local school board charters and sends that kid to, whether maybe it's a correctional kind of school. Maybe there's a school that's just for children with certain special needs that, as a parent, I don't think that kid's needs are being met in this public school. And so I'm going to put them over in this school, and I'm going to go to the school board, and I'm going to say, I need my child transferred to that school. That money, as much as it can, because there's strings, right?
So it can be transferred within public easier than it can to the voucher system.
Well, the problem with the voucher system, as I could see it happening, is let's say now you take the
Public
voucher.
schools will evaporate.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about you take that voucher, and now let's say let's say you are a hardcore anti-Christian, whatever faith or whatever you want to be, okay? You're just anti-Christian,
Yeah,
okay?
go to Pete.
You're not Charlie Kirk. You're the anti-Charlie Kirk, okay? So, I know, but let's just say you're that person, and you decided this, and I'm going to be the Debbie Potter Baptist Church School, okay?
Okay.
And in order to go to Debbie Potter Baptist Church School, you have to sign a statement saying, this is our faith. We have a shared faith. This is how our curriculum, this is how our school goes. We have this shared faith. You say, well, I've got my voucher. Debbie Potter public or private school takes vouchers. So if she takes vouchers, she can't discriminate against me. She better take my voucher too, with my kid who doesn't believe anything that they're teaching.
Well, why would they want to even send their kid there?
Why would they? To cause
To
disruption?
undermine it.
To undermine it? To whatever?
Use
Yeah.
the child as a pawn.
Use the child as a pawn, because it's really not anything about their child or anything like that. It's about forcing their ideology on a school that they hate, right? And
That's right.
and it could go any direction. It could be a Christian trying to force Christianity into a Wiccan school that, somebody has a private school for Wiccan kids or something. I'm ideologically
No, I
pure on
get it. I
this.
get it. It's like people that come to the country to fundamentally change the country.
Yeah,
Did I
yeah.
say company?
Right, right.
They come to the country to if you don't like our country the way it is, just stay there.
Some people are like, I'm going to just invade your space because I'm going to prove to you I can. And so I'm not going to say that's how Michelle made that point, but we had these kinds of conversations, and she made me start thinking about these things. And so non-discrimination laws, we have private schools that discriminate based on faith. Catholic schools. If you're Catholic, you're going to go to school for free, reduced, at all. They have various levels that you have to be a part of their faith to go to that school. Now, do we respect that in the private sector? I surely hope so. But if we start making those schools receive public funds, is somebody going to take advantage of that and ruin what we already have for school choice?
I got it. I see it
So,
now. I see it. You're
Yeah,
right.
well, it took me 3 years.
No, it just-
If you got that in this one setting, it took
because
me
it's-
3 years.
It's really easy when money's involved,
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
So, what else do you want to talk about? I've got to go to some neighborhood thing tonight and talk about, did I tell you I'm running for mayor?
Yes, yes. How are you doing in that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm running against the establishment
Mhm.
and people that
And
don't
big
want
money.
change. Yeah, all the big money. People don't want change. People that want to keep it the same, to keep the administrative bureaucrats. I'm dealing in a mess.
Well,
So,
if I could encourage you
Yes.
in one way,
one
I
way,
would say, if God intends for you to be the mayor,
I will
then
be.
you're going to be the
Yeah,
mayor.
God will.
And if
is
you're
in
not the
God's
mayor,
hand.
it's in God's hands. If you're not the mayor, it's because God's going to use you not as a mayor more effectively than he would have as a mayor. It's a tool. Being the mayor is only a tool in your toolbox. Your calling is your calling.
No, I get it. And the reason I want to get in there is to create an even playing field, to stop the
Mhm.
stupid, and
And if you can do
just bring
that
some
from the
common
inside,
sense.
if you can do that from the inside, more power to
It
you.
would just make it easier.
Well, the mayor probably has more executive,
Veto power,
yeah.
and if we get some new council people up there that will want to do stuff differently.
I don't have any executive anything.
We've got one guy, David Banks. I love him because he sees it. He even says, you come down there, you're right. They're just not listening to you.
Yeah.
But it is God's. It's God's thing.
And we're in a culture war, and it's God's war, and that's what I prayed for in 2020. When I saw all the Trump stuff go down, I just said, God, I'm getting to be an old lady, but I got fight in me. I said, where can you use me? And I was a realtor, so I thought it was going to be personal property rights, which had been my passion. And I felt it clear as day. God said, look out after the kids. He did not tell me to run for State Board of Education. He told me to look out after the kids. And so I got on the State Board of Education. I actually turned money away at one point because I was like, I'm not going to be able to look out after the kids if you guys don't get the legislators in office that we need.
What do you mean you turn money away?
I was offered, I think it was $500, and I said,
Oh, from somebody
yeah,
like bad money?
no, it was good. It was, they were giving out money for campaign help. And I told them, I said, I think I'm okay. I have my signs, and I said, if you don't get the legislators voted in, then I won't be able to get anything done.
Oh, so give your money to the...
Give my
I
money
got
to
it.
people who
Oh,
need it
that's
more.
sweet.
And-
Yeah, I've not
and-
really wanted to ask for money.
Right.
I've gotten some nice donations, and I take some donations. You'd only be making an investment in free speech and yourself.
Yeah.
But
And
either
I've
way,
got help.
I
I didn't
can't
take
wait.
away all my help at all.
when I'm elected, what I can't wait to see is what it costs per vote. Because then it will really decide who's the conservative that can do things better. If I can get elected and spend less money than him, I'm already better.
Well, your researchers can look, because I have
Oh,
a
we've
report
got
on my,
researchers like you don't even know.
so a newspaper reporter showed up on my doorstep, and sweet little lost kid. Anyway, he came in a rainstorm, so I had to invite him in, because, I mean, my roads wash out, and I was like, dude, hey,
Well,
like,
you live in the sticks?
I live in like sticks, yeah, and I live on a dirt road, and he came in this, my
Oh.
roads are washed out, and I was like, come on in, have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I take care of my aunt, so
Put a towel on him.
I had told my aunt's caretaker not to come that day because it was dangerous. And,
Right.
and he came on my dangerous road, so he was like, I was like, come on, I'll talk to you, because I hadn't really talked to any of the other news people. I'll talk to people like you all day long, but I don't like to talk to news reporters who are going to take what I say and put it on a piece of paper for me.
Yeah, well, that was another thing. A guy today said, well, I was disappointed Henry didn't bring all this stuff up. Well, it wasn't one of the questions. I just answered the questions. I can't please everybody.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
we'll
trying.
probably, actually, don't they tell you what to talk about? We can talk about a lot of things.
Hey, real quick, I want to check my phone. What if somebody called in and wanted to talk to you?
Oh, golly, I would love to talk to people.
Yeah, let's see. You know, we do get call-ins.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever done a call-in. Ever. Quick prayer to be smart. Dead air.
No, just real estate deals.
Dead air. I'm like dead air. I don't know what to say.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Yeah.
All
no,
right, so you like sitting down better.
I like talking.
Did I interview better?
You
today?
did fine.
Okay.
Last time I think you ran off and left me for a while, but I talked that time.
Yeah, I had to get some water.
I think you had to get some water, yeah.
All right, well, I got to get going to the next thing. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Absolutely. I just appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
coming in.
I appreciate your people listening, but this is the new world we're in.
We are at,
People get to hear.
if you annualize my views on Facebook, I'm over 3 million a year.
Yes.
Over.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Last quarter, I got $125 that I didn't have. So, hey,
Somebody bought you, what, does that make 25 cups of coffee?
I can almost pay my light bill. Oh,
It's supposed to be called cups of coffee, I think, now.
I don't have that.
Oh.
No, this is just Facebook paying me.
Oh, Facebook pays you?
Yeah,
Nice.
because I draw enough traffic to my site. It's all my opponents stalking me. Hey, and also too, real quick, somebody stole one of my competitors' sign, and don't do that on my behalf.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's
just
sad.
terrible. It's just terrible. Stealing is just wrong.
Yeah,
It's just wrong.
we don't need to steal.
No, be better than that.
We
And
want to rise above.
I have to say, though, I had to get the metal signs because people said there could be 6 signs in a row and mine would be gone. I ended up having a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent running against me. So
But
people
didn't I
can
tell
go
you-
back and look at the money, but apparently this newspaper reporter
Yeah.
told me that the Democrat who was running against me, I believe, had like 20,000.
So are you a
or 20
Republican or Democrat?
I'm a
in your-
Republican.
No, in the race.
I'm a Republican.
Okay, so you run as a Republican.
As a Republican in the state board. I think the local boards, now that would be a law. So there are laws that I do think could be made that actually just, they're not laws that are meant to oppress people all the more. They're laws to it kind of lift up what's constitutionally already in place. I would make it a law that the local board members have to say what they identify as. We know they can lie, right? I'm a Republican, even if you're not, or a Democrat, but most of them say,
No, that's so funny. What do you identify as?
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Good
don't ask the
lady.
Supreme Court justice.
Anyway, yeah, we have to identify who we identify at and everything else but politics. No, no, but you know, people tend to know what your core values are if you're a Republican, an Independent, or a Democrat, and who aligns with them more. So why do our local boards not identify who they align with? I'm going to register as this, that's how I'm going to vote, okay? The other thing I think that they should do is I think they should make the State Board of Education members, i.e. us up here, the 10 of us, I think we should be, oh golly, I lost the word for it. When you're on a committee, you're the chair, you're always on committee, oh my word.
Nonpartisan?
No, I'm sorry. I know the word, it's just gone because I'm that old. You're just, by virtue of the fact that you're on the chair, you're on the committee. But I think that the State Board of Education members should be on the local boards with voice, no vote. State does not come in and vote in local politics. But I do think that if you put your State Board of Education members as a, oh, you're smart people, as a member on these local boards, suddenly you're building that relationship. Because if you look at our Kansas Constitution, how education's set up, we should be having a relationship together, a communication between the state and the local. They should be getting their information from us because we have the same people that we work for. They're elected, we're elected, okay? So our fiduciary responsibility is to our voters, right?
Right.
The staff, their fiduciary responsibility is to the administration of the school system, okay? So what I've said is there's this two chains of command. You have your staff chain of command and you have your elected chain of command, okay?
Right.
Ex officio, thank you. Ex
Ex
officio,
officio.
I remember. Phew, it came back to me. But you have your elected and you have your staff, okay? On the elected side, you have your local board members, you have your state board members, and then you have your 4 Senate districts that we represent, okay? But you're legislative, okay? On the administrative side, you have your teachers and principals and superintendents and commissioner, right? You could say parents here in our side. So as a parent, this is why, as a parent, when you have a problem and you want to go to your local board member because you're like, hey, you're maintaining, operating, and control of the schools because constitutionally you do. I'm having a problem with the staff, your staff, right? They work for you. And they say, we don't have anything to do with that. That's broken. And that happens over and over and over
I think
again.
this is a whole show.
It is a whole show. It is a whole show.
We can
And
come
you see
back.
it over and over. I can. I
Sometime.
may not be able to come on Wednesday. Well, Wednesday's when our meeting's over, and I try to come by usually on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I think that
Well,
this
you're
week,
welcome anytime, you know that.
I knew I could call you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your audience. And I hope
I do too.
I hope I'm saying smart stuff so your audience can be all the more informed and smarter
Well, I
for
think
having
that-
talked.
I think it's all wrapped up into one, because like to pick, Kansas doesn't really have a draw of why to come here. I don't think it's the schools. It's not our taxes. It's not, especially
Cost of living
Topeka.
is, well, for us in Wichita, cost of living is lower than a lot of the coast. I hated Kansas when I first moved here, but I love it
Since the
now.
cost of living is low, is it because of how poor we are, the working poor?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
This
know the
is
answer
for
to that.
another day.
Yeah,
Henry and McClure live.
with Debbie Potter.
Debbie Potter live.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, I gotta go out to Gage Park and also, is it raining outside? Because I
It
left
was
my
starting to
windows
rain.
down.
Oh, it wasn't when I came in, but it was.
It looks like it's raining. So
Oh.
I've gotta get out to check on the car. All right, I love you guys. Thank you.